Join me to make a sourdough loaf from start to finish. It's a long one, but worth it.
Hello and welcome back to Simply Sourdough. We are here to put together just a simple, it's going to be a double loaf. I have 200 grams of active starter. A single loaf takes 100 grams of active starter, 350 grams of filtered water, 500 grams of bread flour, and 10 grams of salt. We're going to double that so that we have two loaves that we make. My parents would like a loaf, so I thought I would make a double. So I have the 200 grams of active Bernadette in the bottom here. I just took her out. I'm going to zero her out and add my 700 grams of filtered water. This is warm filtered water. It's a little hard to, I guess I can pull this out. I forget that. So we'll keep on pouring until we get 700 grams. It's going to be a big pile of dough that we're going to work with today. We usually have half as much dough, but we will endeavor to work with a larger amount today. I might even divide it into 3 loaves, smaller loaves. I like smaller loaves. They're easier to cut. If you use 500 grams of flour, we're at 550, then you certainly could do 1 loaf. $700 grams. It's our filtered water. Use my Danish dough whisk. Give that a good mix. Danish dough whisk is nice. You don't have to have one. I have a spurtle that I use sometimes as well. You could use a spoon or a fork. Danish dough whisk, there's something about the shape of it that it catches on the starter and gets it mixed and incorporated pretty well. So we're just getting it to a milky sort of, you'll still have chunks of starter in there, but just get it incorporated as much as you can. Ready to go. And then we're going to do 1,000 grams. Would that be a kilogram? I think it would be. 1,000 grams, 500 for each loaf of bread flour. I buy mine at Publix. If you're doing a lot, there might be places you can get it wholesale. I'm at 550, 700, 886. $1,008. There we go. 1,000 grams. And we're going to put 20 grams of salt in because it takes 10 for each loaf. And I just pour that on top. I'm at 1,000 grams, so I'm going to go to 1,020. $1,020. And we're good to go. We're finished weighing things. I can put this aside. And I like to stir in my salt a little bit first and then just kind of stir it in, incorporate it. It's going to get kind of hard to do in a minute. We'll use our hands at that point. Wet hands are your best friend when you're working with sourdough. It tends to make it stick to you less, although you'll probably have some on you. Some people wear gloves. My hands are clean. I washed them before I started. This is for family. If I were making this to sell somewhere, I probably would wear gloves. I think there's some health department rules probably about that. Your friend in this process will be a flexible bench scraper. Get it off our Danish dough whisk. One of the things that I'll take a moment to warn you about is do not let any of this, particularly the starter, but in this format as well, the dough, down your drain. It becomes cement and can really cause problems with your drain. So lots of different strategies for cleanup on that. Some people use a big bucket and they soak things and then they take the water out of the bucket and water their plants. I take paper towels and clean things off and then go from there. Throw away as much as I can. Use the scraper to get everything off the sides. You basically want to incorporate this. Scrape it off the bottom as well, just so they're all friends. And you'll want to, I'm going to wet my hands. And you want to, actually use one hand, just mix it so that you do want to move it around a bit. You're sort of starting to create the gluten. It's very shaggy at this point. You can see it's just loosey-goosey and shaggy. So take a minute or two, work it in. Make sure there are no dry pockets of flour. You definitely don't want that. Sometimes I use the bench scraper to help me kind of mix it in, get it moving that way. Get it loose off the bottom so that when we let it sit, I kind of pop the scraper in there. We'll let it sit for about 30 minutes and rest. Very shaggy. And we'll see how that changes as we do our stretch and folds. We're going to do 4 sets of, well, really 2 stretch and folds usually I do, and 2 coil and folds, about 30 minutes apart. And at that point, oh, I always forget this step. You have to temp your dough. Once you've incorporated it, get my messy hand, take the temperature, because that's going to decide how long you bulk ferment on the countertop. Wow, this is warm. 93. So this is 93 degrees. So according to my graph, which I will share with you, at 90, anything over 80 degrees, it's going to take about 5.5 hours, and we're looking for about a 30% rise. I could explain why there are different numbers for different degrees. It has to do with putting it in the cold ferment and how long it needs the cold ferment. If it's already warm, it needs less time out in the open air. So 5.5 hours from now, it's 11:30, so 5 o'clock, I'll be shaping it and putting it into the fridge. So we are here. I'll see you in about 30 to 40 minutes after I've let this rest covered. If you don't have a cover like this, and this I got at, I think, Publix, cover it with a damp towel on the countertop is fine.
Okay, we are back, ready for the first stretch and fold. So our dough, still looking pretty shaggy. I'm gonna wet my hands. And I'm going to basically just pull and stretch without ripping and fold it over and turn. I'm going to keep turning until I've gone around the clock one time and every corner has gotten, so it's going to take 4 to 6 stretch and folds to be able to do that. And I just touch my hair. Okay, so I do like to sometimes unstick it from the bottom with my bench scraper, just going to go around once. I don't want to do too much disruption because it's building gluten and I want it to be able to do that, but I do want to be able to grab under it. So you're going to, let's see, how can I show you this? You're going to grab the edge of it, pull it up, and fold it over. Turn it, pull it up, stretch it without ripping it, and fold it over. Turn it, grab the edge, pull it up, and fold it over. And you're going to just, it's probably going to take 6. Pull it up and fold it over. And you'll feel it getting more tense as you go. It's stretching a little bit less. That one was more tense. And then this will be the last one. Pull it up and fold it over. You could go around again if you wanted, if you felt like there was a part that didn't get enough stretch. But again, it's much more tense now. So we're going to pile it sort of in the middle, a little bit less shaggy, but still quite a bit shaggy. We'll do another stretch and pull in 30 minutes, and then we're going to do 2 coil folds. Stretch and folds, I'm sorry. And then 2 coil folds, which I will show you. We will leave it covered. It's not sealed. I mean, it's kind of sealed, but you know, air could get in, I guess. I'll leave one up. And I will see you in about 30 minutes. And we are here for our second set of stretch and folds. Hands wet. Shouldn't need that this time. You see it's a little less shaggy. Let's see what we can do with her this time. I'm gonna stretch. It's a little more tense. Not as, it's less tense than it was at the end of last time, but overall, a little more tension. It's building the gluten. Doing these stretch and folds is very helpful for that. For putting that into the structure, and you can see it's very much more smooth, on its way to being ready to do some coil and folds next time. So 30 minutes, I'll I'll see you back and we'll do some coil and folds. And we are here for our third of 4 sets. I will show you how much more smooth it is. And we're going to do coil and folds. And coil and folds, or coil folds, sometimes I've heard them called. You're going to put your hands down in the middle and you're going to pull up and fold it over. And then you're going to turn and do this. Sometimes I do that, and then I turn it 180 and do the other side, and then I turn it 90 and then 180. You feel it out. But so you're going to you want your hands wet, pull up. You can see what I'm doing here. Pull up and fold over. 180. Pull up and fold over. 90. Pull up, and you see it's less slack as you go. And fold over. 180. Pull up and fold over. Remember that this is a double loaf, so this is a good size. Usually it'll be half this big. And you can see that it's much more smooth, not terribly sticky, and ready to kind of settle for another 30 minutes. I'll put it in the middle there and let it sit. And that's all a coil fold is just getting it bundled and folded over. And I'll see you again in 30 minutes, and we'll do the last one, and then we will let it set for the rest of our 5.5 hours. Remember that we spent 2 hours doing all these folds, so it's another 3.5 hours or so till we put it on the countertop and shape it. And we are back for our last coil and fold before it sits in bulk fermentation for the next 3.5 hours or so. Ooh, it's looking good. I'll show you how nice and smooth it looks. Remember how shaggy it was? It's nice and smooth. It's got some little bubbles on top, and that will continue to happen. So we'll do one more coil and fold. It won't be too eventful because it's kind of ready to go. It's all shaped up. It's got good gluten development. We're stretching it a little bit and then coiling it over itself. And it's gonna sit like that for the next 3.5 hours or so. And then it'll be probably 30% bigger. You can see nice bubbles on the surface. Oh goodness, it's gonna be nice. And we will split it in half. I'm going to make a loaf, so I'm using a batard. And I'm going to make a boule, so I'm using a banneton. And these are the line. This one's lined, this one's not lined. Oh yeah, this one's lined as well. And I have covers. You could use these covers there. I think they call them shower caps. I think they are shower caps actually. I have lots and lots of them. You could use these as well. I happen to have bought a set of these and they fit nicely, so we'll use those. But we will see you in 3.5 hours. And I think I'm gonna make a flavored loaf to show you what an inclusion is. So we'll see you then. So we are here ready we've finished our bulk fermentation, which was 5.5 hours based on the temperature of the dough. Oh, girl. Look how good she looks, jiggly. She's jiggly. She's got bubbles on her. She's gonna deflate when I take her out. I'm gonna wet my hands a little. I'm also gonna put some rice flour in the lining of the batard. No, the banneton and the batard, because we're doing a loaf and we're doing a boule. And rice flour is nice and light. We'll also use it tomorrow when we score the top. It helps to give differentiation to the design. So this is what we want. We want some little bubbles on the top. You see the little bubbles on the top. We want it to be separating from the side without too much effort. And we want gravity to take her out. Sometimes I'll put a little rice flour down so she doesn't get too stuck to start with. But we let gravity do its job. And we get it all out of there. And that is what we call a clean dump. That is beautiful. Perfectly ready. So this is now now the underside. And you can see it's a little stickier than the other side, which is fine. I'm probably gonna put a little bit of rice flour just to kind of absorb some of that extra moisture. We are doing 2 loaves. Remember that we made 2 loaves worth of dough. So I'm going to cut this and then I'm going to pre-shape it. And pre-shape it is just getting it into a general shape to let it sit for a few minutes before we do our final shape. The goal of shaping in the end is to get a nice taut skin around our, you can see these air bubbles. Oh, this is gonna be a bubbly loaf. A nice taut skin around our loaf so that it makes a beautiful crust. So we're just kind of shaping this. Right now I'll do them both round. One of them will end up lengthening as we do the final shape. This is just a pre-shape. And the goal of this is just to kind of get them sort of memorizing what shape we want them to have. And then we'll, look at that big bubble. You don't want huge bubbles necessarily, so you might want to pop a couple of those. And we're gonna let these sit. I'm gonna cover it with a damp towel. Could cover it with a bowl or something just to kind of keep it from getting too dried out. And we're gonna let them sit for about 15 or 20 minutes just to relax a little bit, although they're pretty relaxed. And then we're gonna come back and do our final shape. And we are back. They have relaxed. I'm covering them. And now our goal is going to be to get that skin as taut as possible so that when we do put them in the oven tomorrow after they've had time to cold ferment in the refrigerator, that they will have enough resistance for when we score it that there'll be a difference. So we're gonna take one. This one's gonna be the batard, which will be the loaf. We're gonna stretch it out as much as we can. It's pretty resistant. Stretch it out like that. And then I'm going to do 1/3, and then I pull in, and then we sort of pull the top down, and we pull all these corners in, and we just kind of wrap it up, pinch it in, we roll it over, and then we use pressure. Got a big old bubble there. Use pressure to kind of pull in to get that skin taut as possible. We're gonna flip it so that the bottom is the messy side, the taut side is inside the batard. And then we're going to do our best to stitch this closed. We just want, again, to put a little bit of pressure on that outer skin, and then we're going to cover and put it in the refrigerator. Ready to go. My other one is going to be a boule, so it's going to be a round shape. So that's going to be a little bit different. Still, it's going to be a 1/3 sort of an envelope fold. So we're going to do 1/3, 1/3, roll it, and kind of bring in the sides as you're doing it. Can you hear the bubbles singing? And then you're going to do a J shape where you're going to push up and come down, and you're pushing down to get the top skin, again, very snug and tight. So many bubbles on this one. It'll be interesting to see what that crumb looks like. You can see it's tightened up. We're gonna put it top down. We're gonna do our best to stitch it, get that bottom together, pull it up, get some more tension on that. Do our best to get that together. You could let it sit a while and then stitch it again if you wanted, but it's going to be the bottom of the loaf. So right now it's sitting on what is the top of the loaf. So both of these are going to go into the fridge for overnight. They will expand a bit in the fridge, and then tomorrow we will take them out. We'll put them on parchment paper and score them. We'll use a little bit of the rice flour on the top before we score it so that you can see the design, and then we will bake them and see what happens. See you tomorrow. Down with us so you can see her. And take her out. She'll decompress a little bit. You're gonna want some rice flour. It's a nice light flour that you can put on top. I'll dust the top. And the reason we do that is so that you can see the score. It kind of helps you be able to notice the pattern. And when you're scoring your boule, you can use a lame. This is a basic lame that I have. I've also tried these sterile disposable scalpels, which you can use a couple of times. I bought a box of them. So we'll try that just so you can see that done. A lame is what most bakers use. You want at least one large expansion score, but you can do some decorative scores. I would do your decorative scores first. They're not as deep, and you can make, like, a lot of times people will do just a wheat stalk where you do the stalk and then you do very lightly some. You can do another one next to it if you want, a smaller one. I'm leaving room here to do my nice deep expansion score, so I'm going to do that one next. Cutting in. Now, some people do what's called a 7-minute score, which is 7 minutes into the bake, they go back in. If you want an ear, you're going to want to separate the top here. Some people use a scissor and they can cut into it between here to lift that top a little bit to get that kind of going. So I've got my regular score, my decorative score, and my expansion score. I'll lift it up and put her into the cold. You can do it with a hot Dutch oven, in a hot oven. I just turned my oven on, so it's just warming up. You can put ice cubes in here to create more steam. Also, I have a little mister that I use here to add a little bit of water. You just mist it up before you put it in, or you can, again, pop some ice cubes underneath your parchment paper. And the reason for that is to create extra steam. So I'm going to pop this in. I'm going to give her 30 minutes and check on her. Often I'll cook for 30 minutes with the lid on, and then I'll take the lid off and do some browning. You're going to want to cook until the internal temperature is 105 or 205? I think it's 205. 105 is too low. It's 205. Between 200 and 210, but 205 is a good average. So when you pull it out, you'll want to check with a probe to see what the temperature is. If it's lower than 205, it's going to be undercooked, and you don't want that. So let's see what happens. I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes, and I'll bring you back to see what it looks like in 30 minutes. And that's all it is some decorative scoring, an expansion score. You can go back in 7 minutes into the bake and recut the expansion score if you want to get that big ear, and they call a belly on it. But we'll see what happens without that. And then maybe another one we'll try it with that, and we'll compare them. But that's as simple as it is. It's just baking it up, and then you wait an hour or two before you cut it because you want the steam to finish cooking inside. But we'll get to that when I pull it out. So, all right. We are 30 minutes into the bake. Let's see where we are. Very hot. Oh, we may not need to keep it in much longer. 30 minutes might do it. Oh, and it looks so cute. Let us tempt the internals. We're at 195. Could use a little more, but I don't think I want it any more brown than it is. So I'm going to keep it covered. looks good. It's got a little bit of an ear and it's got a nice belly. I can see our score marks. But I think we're gonna just see how it is over here. Yeah, it's about 195. I think I want it another couple of minutes, but I'm gonna keep the lid on because I don't want it more brown. If it were a pale color, I would take the lid off and let it brown up a little bit. I think I'm gonna bring it down to 425, which is what I would do if I were taking the lid off as well. You don't want it all the way up at 450 with the lid off. But I'm gonna put it in for another, let's see what 5 minutes does. It's 10:25. And we'll come back and temp it again. Okay, let's check it out. We gave her another couple of minutes. Let's see where she stands. She looks good. Let's see if she temps well. Yes, and now we're up to 205. 205, 206, we're good to go. So, here she is. May I introduce Linda Loaf. Just a little hard to get out. Okay, pull her out this way. This over here. Again, using the roaster does a nice job, doesn't burn the bottom. Gives you a nice ear. That's where we did our expansion score. Our other ones are a little bit light. I think I didn't cut enough into the, but you can see where our, what do you call that? Not a fern. Oats? Wheat stalk. Oh, you can see it a little bit there. This is gonna be nice. This is a boule. And so now you need to wait at least an hour, wait till it cools down. Right now the steam is locked inside and it's helping to just get that last bake so it doesn't get gummy. If you cut it too early, it will get gummy and that's not enjoyable. So that is our lovely loaf from Bernadette. Thank you so much, Bernadette. And I still have the other loaf in the fridge. You can leave a loaf in cold ferment up to, I think it's 72 hours. The longer you leave it, the more sour it gets. The reason I'm leaving that one in there is because today's Thursday and my friend asked for a loaf to take to her parents on Saturday. So I'll bake that tomorrow. So it will be 36 hours in the refrigerator. So it'll still be nice and fresh, but it'll be, you know, a little more sour, still nice though. And I'll bake that up for her and then I'll be able to cut it tomorrow night for her to bring to her parents because it's hard for older people, I think, or just people who struggle physically to cut sourdough. It can be challenging, I will say. A contraption like this is very helpful for cutting it into you can vary the width of it. I have a loaf over here and you can cut it into different size slices. It's very helpful for cutting. That's something that I just got it off of Amazon and we've used it a lot. And also, of course, a bread knife, very sharp. Be very careful, these are very sharp, to cut your slices out of. A boule is very helpful because I mean, you could put a boule in there, I guess, if you've made it wide enough. But anyway, some suggestions and enjoy your day.